Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Powers Plays Palace. I am J Boogie, and I am a member of the group Power Plays on Discord. And this morning, I just want to go over the spy chart with you briefly, go over some things here. So let's jump right into it. It's Monday morning. It's time to get to it. All right, so here is the spy chart as it currently is. The pre-market high is 629.59. That red line you see is the weekly high from last week, and that yellow line you see is the high from Friday. The orange lines is we use for gap ups, if you recall. So there was a gap up overnight from 627.76 to 628.64. And as you can see, the previous day's lows at 626.46. And the low, the top part of this gap from the gap up, is actually currently the pre-market low. So as you can see, the market has already been pretty busy this morning in the pre-market, and things are reacting. So the pre-market low, and as you can see, SPY went up, broke the weekly high from last week, broke the previous day's high, and established a new high pre-market, came down, then retested, rejected, came back up, didn't touch it, rejected again, came back up to the pre-market, to the high from yesterday, rejected, and now it's coming down to a trend line that is sitting on a lot of liquidity in this area. And as you can see, there's been a lot of action in this area between 620, really 626 and 630 during the latter part of last week after SPY made that big jump up. So as you can see, there's been a lot of action this morning from 627 close previous day up to this gap. That's a dollar, about a dollar move, and then from there up to 259, 629.59. That's a $2 move. Another dollar move. So that's a pretty good range for the day so far. And SPY user holds true to that. So you're definitely gonna probably see that come into play. So let's look at our levels for today. Let's pull up my chart here. Bam. So based off the current pre-market activity, these are our levels for today off of the SPY. The pre-market VWAP is 629.35, and the pre-market high was 629.56 with a pre-market low of 629.14. So that's where we are with that. So our psychological area that's in levels in this area are 629 and 630 and 628. So you be careful because those are psychological areas. And what that means is traditionally SPY responds on whole numbers. So 627, 628, 629, 630, 631. Those are what we call psychological levels. And the SPY usually responds one way or the other to those. Usually when you're starting to get into it, unless it's just so much momentum and volume, it usually gets to a key level like that, and then there's a slight pullback if we're still in an uptrend, or if it's going down, it'll get to that level for support. Slight pullback if it's going to continue and go back into it. But that's the psychological level. And so what we want to do is we want to try to end of the day on a bullish setup when SPY reaches around 629.14 to 635, and that's a pullback. And I know right now you're looking at the chart like, man, SPY don't pull below that, but when I set this up this morning, this is the way it was. So SPY has reacted since then, but this is the way it was. And then you'll see as we get into the setups, you'll see how these things still correlate. But if SPY manages to get back into that range, your target price should be 629.56, which is the pre-market high initially, with 630, which is that psychological area, with 630.50 being that extension area above that. Just a $0.50 move, which is another mini psychological area, not usually as strong as the whole numbers, but it's still there. And for bearish setup, as you can see, SPY is already starting to pull back. You want to enter. You want it to enter off the rejection from the high pre-market or 630 if it got to that level, and you set your stop losses a little bit above the 630 level. If you get in at the 630, if it's 629.56, you set your stop loss at 630. With your target prices from that level down to 629.35, which was pre-market VWAP, and the 629.14, which is the low pre-market, and then your third target will be 628.80. Now, let's look at this gap. If SPY pulls back to this gap, you see it's a trend line here now. If SPY breaks this and gets into this gap, it's almost assured to close this gap. I see this happen a lot, but it closes this gap almost every time. So you can almost bank on almost a dollar move. Almost. Nothing's guaranteed in the market. You can't control and predict momentum, but you can almost, that happens all the time. They fill those gaps. All right. And if you're going to scalp, wait for a break above the pre-market high and set your stop at the pre-market low at this current level, 629.14. And then with your target price being the 630.50. If you're going to scalp below a short sale or however you're going to do, hoping that the SPY goes down, wait till it breaks below 629.14 with a stop above 629.35 with your target at 628.80, 628.50. Like I said, these were my levels when I set this up. Now, as the chart has changed, you can see right now that SPY has already went into the 628.88. That's where it's currently at right now as I'm doing this. So it's already pulled back and it rejected off of the high of the day pre-market. And it came up, it tested, held one time, and then it rejected off of the weekly high from last week. And it also rejected off the high of the day from Friday. But let's look at it. If SPY doesn't come all the way back down and fill this gap, let's say it gets this trend line and bounces up, then this is just a simple pullback. You can take your Fibonacci retracement, and I'm going to go from here, just from here, the bottom of this move to here. And the reason I chose this line, I could have went right there, but this is higher than that. And the reason I did that is because look at could be a pullback. But now it's already past the 50 and the 61 down to the 78. But we got this trend line here that has been respected. We're going to see if it respects it or not. If it breaks through and goes back into this gap, it's probably going to close into this gap and just stay there. But you remember, we still in the pre-market. Right now I'm redoing this video at 8:53 because my previous video got washed because of all the movement. So I had to try to redo it here within the next 30 minutes before the market opened to try to be closer to my actual numbers because my previous video got washed because of all the movement. So this is where we are. As you can see, it just broke below that trend line. We're still in the pre-market. Just broke below that trend line. We'll see what happens if it breaks into this gap and break back down. That could invalidate all of this stuff from this morning and really just throw everything I just showed off. That's why this is not financial advice. That's why this is just my opinions. Because based off what I showed earlier, or what I recorded earlier and had to change up to fit what's going on now, my whole projection was washed based on the moves being made before the market opened, so you didn't have a chance to get in it. Even though what was previously expected to happen, it retested the highs and came back up, and now it's coming back again off the rejection. You have to redo it because it would have showed a whole bunch of numbers that didn't make any sense. But now, based off what we've been able to see, everything should make sense to you. And as SPY continues to move down, which it's currently doing, look at that right now. We got to look at her. It closed into that gap. Man, look at her. Just kind of shot up my numbers. But look at her. Close into that gap. I'm almost sure it probably do that. The crazy thing is it come down here and touch it and pull back there and do this, or it can come down and just do this. Possible, but you got liquidity here. I'm pretty sure some buy orders here, so you might get some resistance. It just collected some liquidity. Look at all this area. It's a lot of liquidity right there, and it look like it could be going down there to grab it, cause it'll probably need that liquidity being in all-time high levels. As you can see with my trend lines, there's a bigger. See, it broke out of a trading zone here, even though it's been respecting this trend line. If you go in a wider, bigger, widen it out, you can see do a further back testing. You see all this stuff going on in this area here. It's a lot of liquidity. You can see that it was in a higher trading zone, and it's actually breaking out of that into another liquidity pattern. I mean, another wedge is like well, you can call this like a wedge, but it's actually in another trading zone. Look at us. So, boom. And that's why it just pays off to just do your due diligence and back testing and make sure you got everything in point. Because without doing that, you don't even see this. Look at that. Look at that. And if you wonder about this indicator, it's called auto trend lines. But yeah, this is what it does. That's a Fibonacci retracement. It broke that. I can take this out of there at this point because it invalidated it because it broke it. But we sitting here. Could be here. Look at that red. You see that red trend line? Green is positive, red is negative. That means that it broke back into this box. Where is the bottom of that trend line? Look at it. So if you just wanted to play the trend line, you had some wide targets, and but you see it. All right. Well, like I said, those are our projections for today. As you can see, SPY's already killed my chart, but it's close to market time, so we have to go with what we got at this point. This is not financial advice, as you can see clearly, but these are my ideas. And if the market would have been open, man, we're probably making a lot of money right now because it bounced it, rejected off those levels, and it's going. So, with the current situation on the SPY, the next target point, listen to me, will probably be the bottom of this gap. I mean, this trading zone right here. This trend line is a trend line, but it's in a zone. See that? Be here and then to here, and then from there down to there, and that's just based off what I'm seeing. Touch here, wherever this touches at, down to this gap. But it's, to me, like I said, it's there. I would be careful of this trend line because it could respond to this, but with all likelihood, it's going to fill that gap. So, yep. So that's what we have. All likelihood is going to fill this gap. Y'all can see it in all likelihood. So that's what we can anticipate right now. I got to get out of here and get ready for trading this morning. Y'all have a nice day. I am, like I said, J Boogie with Power Plays Palace. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy.